Microsoft figures out a way to make the Surface Pro Studio, or the Surface Studio, makes that a viable alternative. Because if that thing got some actual speed to it and lost all the horrible lag and latency with the pen, that thing would be totally on my radar. And it's less expensive than the high-end Wacom all by itself. So,
well, but yeah, horrible lag sounds like something.
It's bad right now, but they
needs to be addressed.
And if they ever fix that, all bets are off. That could be a really sweet deal.
All right. Y'all ready to talk some Samsung?
Yeah.
Woo. Ms. Lane, if you would read line 3 today, please.
I would. Lee.
It's Lee Grimes, I'm going to guess. Related to Rick Grimes?
Mm-hmm. Very cool name. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no kidding. I like it. Here we go. 3, 2.
Lee Grimes has supported independent tech news directly for 5 years. Be like Lee. Become a DTNS member at patreon.com/DTNS.
This is the Daily Tech News for Wednesday, February 20th, 2019 in Los Angeles. I'm Tom Merritt.
And from Studio Feline, I'm Sarah Lane.
From Salt Lake City, I'm Scott Johnson.
And I'm the show's producer, Roger Chang.
Oh, we got Samsung news to talk about. Samsung unboxed, announced a foldable phone, some new S10s, some wearables and earbuds. Our resident Android user, Roger Chang, is going to weigh in on just how expensive things all are. But let's start with a few tech things you should know.
Not to be outdone, Xiaomi announced its flagship Mi 9 phone with minimal bezel and a small notch for the front-facing phone, and a triple lens array on the rear. The rear camera includes a super moon mode for night sky images, and at 960 frames per second video capture and advanced motion tracking. Now, the models are available for pre-order in China between around 299 won or US
no, it's 2,999 RMB.
That's right. It's a Chinese currency.
Yeah. Right. $445 or $595 shipping by March 1 or earlier.
Those sound nice. Well, look at this. The EU Council has agreed to the EU Copyright Directive, which includes provisions designed to make websites liable for uploads in certain instances and limits what's on snippets websites may display from news organizations without seeking a license. Finland, Italy, Luxembourg, the Netherlands, and Poland were the only countries to object to the directive. The directive now goes to committee and then on to EU Parliament, which will have a vote in March or early April.
And Vivo said, I won't be outdone by Samsung or Xiaomi, and announced the V15 Pro, the second phone from Vivo with a pop-up selfie camera. Although this time it's got a 32 megapixel sensor. It won't always be taking 32 megapixel photos, but when you need it, that amount of megapixels will be there. The rear camera has a 48 megapixel sensor. Same sort of caveat applies. V15 Pro also has a 6.4-inch OLED display, 3,700 milliamp hour battery, and an in-screen fingerprint sensor, just like the Samsung S10. The V15 Pro, with its pop-up selfie camera, will launch soon in India for 28,990 rupees, which is about $400 US. All right, we got a few more things to talk about before we get to the Samsung announcements, starting with our good old friend at Bloomberg telling us what's up at Apple.
Well, now that I've snapped my pop-up selfie camera off, let's talk about Bloomberg. Mark Gurman's reports. He says sources say Apple's Project Marzipan aims to let developers build an app once and then run it on iPhone, iPad, and Mac. Man, this sounds familiar to the early Surface stuff. Anyway, starting later this year, a new developers kit will let people port iPad apps to the Mac. By 2020, iPhone will be added to the kit. And by 2021, the kit can merge 3 ports into one binary, so they won't need to be submitted for each store separately. Apple will likely announce details at its developers conference, which takes place in June 3rd, or from June 3rd to June 7th. And I would say that if they want this to be good and reap the benefits of one code base, 3 platforms, simple submission and approval, they better have lots of ways in that developers kit and in those tools to not make it look like people are just running crappy tablet and phone apps on their computer and vice versa.
That's the point. That's the point of the developers kit. Yeah.
Scott, before the show started, we were talking about the idea of doing what you do based on iPad Pros and perhaps desktops. So would this be something that would change your workflow in a good way?
Well,
if it worked well?
Yes, that's the trick. So there is we just talked about it. In fact, nobody heard this, but I guess Good Day Internet people heard it. But I really like the drawing app, the painting app, illustration app called Procreate on iOS. It's fantastic. There's a pocket version on the phone, but the big hot one is the iPad Pro's version. And it's really, really great. Combine that with the device and the pencil, and you got a really masterful art tool. If they figured out a way to make that work on a Mac as a desktop version of Procreate, and now we've got interoperability between desktop and tablet, that would be incredible. I'd lose my mind if you could have, and for that matter, all the people that have got Wacom's, designers that have already got hardware there, for them to get Procreate as a desktop app without Procreate having to have a whole new team doing desktop ports, that would be amazing.
Yeah, and that's what Apple wants to do. Although Garmin says that the sources say Apple doesn't want to merge the operating systems. They still want Mac OS and iOS to be separate operating systems. They just want to make it easy, like the Surface stuff, for developers to be able to say, I've got one binary, I submit it, it goes into the Mac store, it goes into the iOS store, it looks right on the iPad, it looks right on the iPhone. Obviously, there's some design elements that you have to adjust in order for that to pay off, but it would mean an easier compilation of the code because it'd just be one binary. So that would be interesting. I'm curious to hear what they announce on June 3rd.
Google announced earlier in February that the Nest Guard, the hub of the Nest Secure system, would get an update adding support for Google Assistants. Bit of a surprise, since the Nest Guard, which came out in September of 2017, apparently came with a microphone built in that nobody knew about and wasn't listed by Google in any of Google's specs. Although Google says that was a mistake not to list it, and the mic was never activated. And don't worry, users would have to turn it on themselves in settings. Okay. The mic was originally included in anticipation of future updates that would allow things like detecting the sound of broken glass, among others.
Yeah, so security system, right? They want to know if a window got broke to be able to alert it, but they didn't put it on the box because they didn't activate that yet, and it was an oversight. Google's like, I guess we should have put that in there, although it was not functional. And here's the thing, there's precedent for this. Almost every phone sold throughout the 2000s had a radio tuner built in that in many cases could have been activated by software, but phones didn't put it on the box saying, hey, it has an FM tuner, because they weren't going to activate it. They're like, we're not going to use it. We don't want it to be draining battery. So we're not going to tout it as a feature. So there's a line to walk here of like, well, if you put it in the specs, are you then advertising its use? Or people go say, well, it's got a mic, why can't I talk to it? So Google did what phone makers did with the FM tuner and said, we're leaving it off the box. But in this world of privacy, where a microphone isn't just seen as a piece of hardware that provides a feature, but a potential spy device, now people are like, but you should have told me there was a microphone in there, even though Google swears up and down, yeah, but it was never doing anything. It was just a dead piece of hardware until now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I heard about this, and everybody wants to jump to conclusions and say, they knew it was in there, they're spying on us. I very quickly got past that meta layer and got to, well, when they say it was a mistake, do they mean it was a mistake to put it in and not tell anybody, and now in retrospect they're feeling like it's a mistake to have not told us? Or are they saying it was a mistake not to have it in the documentation in the beginning?
Yeah,
it was
mistake not to note it in the documentation. Okay. It's a no-win scenario, though.
Yeah.
If they put it in the documentation, then people get mad, like, why can't I use it? Or they put it in the specs, but not on the box label, and then people can accuse them of trying to hide it because it's in the specs, but they didn't note it on the box. Or they don't include it, and then people are like, why can't I use Google Assistant with my Nest Secure? Oh, it's because it didn't have a mic. Why didn't you put a mic in? Like, you cannot win this situation if you're Google. I really don't think you can.
Yep.
All right. Somebody that is winning that we didn't expect to be winning at this point is Garmin. This is like telling me that the creative nomad is like on the uptick. I was one of those people who thought, Garmin's probably not going to make it for very much longer because they make standalone GPS devices, and who needs those when you've got it on your phone? Well, Garmin, maker of navigation devices and smartwatches, reported a strong Q4 and forecast full-year revenue and profit above expectations. Now, I'm not totally wrong. CarNav fell 28%, but Garmin hasn't just been sitting around waiting for the cratering of their main market. They've been creating new markets. Marine navigation is something they've moved into strongly and are selling very well. Sales of Garmin's ADS-B-based products for broadcasting a plane's position have been rising because U.S. regulations go into effect in 2020, requiring all planes to have these kinds of devices. So Garmin's selling a lot of those to people with planes. Garmin sales of smartwatches to outdoor enthusiasts also rose 25% as the kind of wearable smartwatch market starts to slowly rise in general. And Garmin's got the outdoor camper, trekker market locked up because they're in every REI everywhere. And they've got all the outdoor enthusiast type of features that people want. So, hey, look at that. Some good news about a company.
Well, and also, good on Garmin, getting to the marine space, the aviation space. We can in back in the day, you would have said, okay, Garmin is like GPS, whatever. There are lots of them. So as the market becomes more saturated, clearly Garmin has figured out where there are other avenues to get into to make it more advantageous for them. What remains to be seen is, will other companies do this and take their market space from there?
Yeah,
as
maybe.
Well?
I mean, the thing about Garmin is they were always in that category I used to put Blackberries in. They were like an early 2000s, early established, cool, new tech, and they really grabbed it and they owned that market. And when you thought of GPS, you thought of Garmin. And just like when you thought of phones, you thought of BlackBerry for a while. And then everything got pulled out from underneath them. I really did think that Garmin, unlike Tom, wasn't long for this world, but it's nice to see that we were wrong.
I'm glad to keep going. Yeah, that's great. TomTom, on the other hand, hasn't diversified as much and is having a little more of a problem. They're still around, but they're just having a little more of a problem. Hey, folks, if you want to listen to 90 minutes of us talking, not just the 30 minutes of Daily Tech News Show, and you want to listen live in Discord, you can do both of those things or one or the other by becoming a patron at patreon.com/DTNS. All right, let's get into the fold. The Samsung Galaxy Fold.
Let's see what you did there.
So it looks good. It is a 4.6-inch display. So it's a lot of bezel. If you're one of those bezel haters, you're not going to like this. 4.6-inch display on the front, but then you unfold it and you get a 7.3-inch Infinity Flex display. Honestly, this may be the thing I'm most excited about because I like the 7-inch tablet form factor, and having that and the ability to fold it up into a phone format, that's kind of interesting. Comes in black, silver, green, or blue. You can personalize the hinge color with some of those colors if you want. The hinge mostly disappears. You could tell there might be like a slight discoloration where the gap is when it's in tablet mode, but it mostly just looks like it's gone. Sound by AKG because Samsung owns Harman, so they're going to say that about everything. There is a notch in the upper right corner during tablet mode. That kind of be, if you're a notch hater, you're not going to like that. Can do 3-app multitasking in tiled mode, so you can do 3 things at once. You can switch between the screens very impressively. So if you're like, say, on Google Maps on the phone format and you unfold, it just unfolds pretty snappily, at least according to their demo, right into Google Maps on the 7-inch screen. 7-nanometer processor, 12 gigabytes of RAM, 512 gigabytes of storage, support for eUFS 3.0. That'll give you faster read and write of your flash. 2 batteries, one on each side. If you're wondering how the battery works, they've figured out how to make the battery work together. So they have 2 of them in there, one on each side as it folds and unfolds. 3 camera sensors on the back, 2 on the inside, 1 on the front, a thumb sensor on the side for unlocking. Coming out April 26th in LTE and 5G models. The LTE model is $1,980 because this is a luxury model.
Oh, I will say, Scott, I mean, is this the price that you could even like Get on board with.
Well, I
Even
mean, I don't know.
with the rest of it being so cool.
It's pretty cool. I think it looks like a dopey phone before you unfold it. And then when you unfold it, you're like, ooh, this is fancy. And also, to their credit, they've eliminated a lot of the thickness I saw in that stage presentation where they showed the prototype, or I should say, shadowly showed the prototype, where they kept it all dark and you couldn't really see what a freaking sandwich that thing was. But this looks way more refined than that. That makes me very happy to see that. This is such a product I would wait. I mean, I want to hear people's impressions, but this is so the kind of thing I would wait for a second generation for.
Oh my gosh, me too.
Camera just took a total dive. Because these things are going to get improved. Not only that, like normal, but the issues they may have with the crease in the middle, or how much use may create a worse crease. Am I going to get a yellow stain down the middle of that screen eventually? Like, I got lots of fears, but this does feel like a really rad step into the future I wouldn't mind inhabiting. So
I'll be
it.
honest. That's a lot of money. I might try to justify it as a business expense to test it and I don't know, live with it or something. Because I really do want to try this out. I would assume that most people shouldn't buy this, that it is it is too early to buy this. But I have to say, I think they're onto something. I think they have created a form factor that is somewhat compelling. So,
it's also a nice stake in the ground, because this always happens. Somebody will do something and then the other side will say, hey, we came up with that first, whether you're an Apple fan or you're an Android fan. And this is actually like a hardcore stake in the ground that says, we're Samsung and we made the first foldable, workable phone that turns into a tablet. So if anybody, Apple in particular, goes down the road somewhere and says, and we've got this brand new form factor, it's beautiful, and Johnny Ive comes out and sings the songs, you can still go, dude, Samsung totally beat you to the line on that one. Like, it's just from the mobile iOS or the mobile OS wars standpoint, this is a great notch in the on the Samsung side, I think.
Yeah, that was one of their messages in the announcement today was, a lot of people say you can't innovate in the phone space. Well, we disagree. Look, we can fold up a phone. Check it out. They also didn't really care about limiting screen time. Google and Apple spend a lot of time talking about limiting screen time in their recent announcements. Samsung didn't spend a moment on that. They're like, man, that's, I guess that's something you can get out of Android if you want. That's not our business. We want you to buy our phones. And they did announce the Galaxy S10. The S10 has a 6.1 inch Infinity O display with an AMOLED screen, 16 million colors at 100% color volume, supports HDR10 plus, very color accurate. The S10 Plus has a 6.4 inch display. You've got 8 gigabytes of RAM. You can go up to 12 in the Plus. You got an option for a terabyte in the Plus. Otherwise, it's 512 gigabytes. 3,400 milliamp hour battery in the S10. A 4,100 milliamp hour battery in the Plus. The S10 starts at $899. Pre-order tomorrow, February 21st, shipping March 8th. The S10 Plus, same pre-order and shipping dates, February 21st and March 8th, starting at $1,000. And both of these can charge other devices wirelessly. If you want to charge your Samsung earbuds, for instance, which we'll talk in a minute, you could just plop them on top. You have to turn it on in settings, but you can charge stuff. And both of them are FIDO Alliance Biometric Component Certification Program certified. The first phone to feature certification from FIDO. So that's pretty cool. They also have Wi-Fi 6, max LTE, the theoretical 2 gigabit per second LTE. The Bixby button did not go away. And what's going to make a lot of you very happy is there are headphone jacks on all of these. A couple others before we get your impressions on this. There's a 5G version of S10 coming, first to Verizon and then eventually to Sprint, as well as Vodafone and Deutsche Telekom. That one will have a 4,500 milliamp hour battery and 6.7 inch display. There's also the S10e, which loses the in-screen fingerprint sensor. Oh, did I mention it? The S10 has an in-screen acoustic fingerprint sensor, so even with a wet finger, it'll unlock. The S10e doesn't have that. 2 rear cameras instead of 3. That's another cool thing the S10 has, is the 3 rear cameras. But pretty much everything else that the S10 has, and it starts at $750 with a full HD plus 5.8 inch display. Also pre-ordering February 21st, shipping March 8th. So really, kind of the cool thing here with the S10 is nice specs. As always, Samsung always maxes out the specs on its flagship.
And priced right in the middle.
Wireless, wireless charging of other devices, in-screen fingerprint reader with acoustic, and like you say, the price between Google and Apple.
Yeah.
I mean, how do we feel about, in general, a technology that lets me charge other devices? Like, I feel like that may be my favorite thing I heard today. And I know this isn't like a new thing. I know that's been talked about, and other products probably do this, and I just don't know it. But I love this idea of, oh, my watch is almost dead.
I think it's a demo thing. I think in practice, you're going to be like, oh, my phone ran out of battery. I need to charge my phone. I don't want to use my phone to charge something else.
Yeah,
Because the Samsung Galaxy
I don't
Buds,
know.
the
Depends
Galaxy
on how
Buds
much
have
you travel, though. Yeah,
6
I
hour-
think these things come in handy.
6 hours for a charge of the Galaxy Buds, 7 hours on the case. You tell me 13 hours of charge for the Samsung Galaxy Buds, which is going to run out faster, your phone or your earphones?
Probably your phone. Yeah, I think I kind of agree. I mean, I just, it's one of those technologies on the face of it, it gets me all jazzed up. In natural use, you're probably totally right. I'm actually looking for more devices that would charge my phone for me. So I don't think Tom is wrong. It would be cooler if somebody would finally figure out that whole kinetic charging thing where I put it in my pocket and all the water.
Oh, yeah. I'm looking forward to that, too.
Like when someone does that right, I'm going to be stoked beyond measure. But this is a nice little thing, and I think Tom's right, though. I hate when you're right, but you're right. I know I hate when you're right. I like it when you're often right, and it's okay that you're right all the time.
Yeah, you must be angry all the time if you hate when Tom's right.
Oh, stop. I use an Android device. I use a Chrome OS device that uses Android apps, but I don't use it as my sole phone. Roger, you use Android as your sole phone, and I know these prices just make your eyes water.
Yeah, so one of the reasons why I went to Android was that there were more manufacturers, and you can get them at a lower price point. Like my limit right now is around $450 for a new phone. I am really curious. In fact, very interested about the S10, the triple camera setup, because I want to play with it to see if it's something that is compelling enough for me to kind of shell out, the remaining, $500 to get one, because it is such a high price, but at the same time, man, I really like having a good camera in my phone. It's the reason why I bought the Samsung Galaxy S6, because at the time it was the best Android phone camera that they had available, and the screen with HDR10 plus, which is, I'm still trying to wrap my head around how useful that is in the day-to-day environment. But as an Android phone, especially as a flagship phone, it's pretty nice. But again, because it's a flagship phone, it's also at the upper price point where my budget doesn't allow me to go.
Yeah, I think the other thing that I think is impressive is that ultrasonic in-screen fingerprint sensor. That looks like it works great. We'll see in practice whether it works as good as it did on stage, but pretty amazing. And because it's ultrasonic, works in a lot of situations that regular fingerprint readers don't. So pretty cool. All right, a couple other things that Samsung announced before we wrap up their announcements. The Samsung Galaxy Buds that I just mentioned, $130, or bundled with the S10 and S10 Plus, you'll be able to get them, as well as I think with the Galaxy Fold. You can get them in white, black, or yellow, very compact. They're oblong, so it's hard to really compare them to the AirPods, but they're at least the same size, if not a little smaller than the AirPod case. Those are available March 8th. There's also the Galaxy Watch Active with 5 atmospheres of water resistance that'll measure your blood pressure and your heart rate, do auto tracking for exercises, some sleep tracking, wireless charging. You can drop that on top of your Galaxy S10 to charge. That's $200 coming March 8th with US pre-orders by March 7th. Receiving a complimentary wireless charging pad. You can get those in silver, black, gold, and sea green. And the Galaxy Fit, which is going to make Fitbit really mad because they're calling it a Fit, but it's like a Fitbit. Water resistant, color AMOLED touchscreen, week-long battery life. Does a lot of the heart rate checking, sleep tracking, etc., auto tracking for exercises. That one's coming in Q2, no price. So wearables, folks, what's your favorite?
These are cool and all, but I really am bugged about them calling it a Fit. Like I just
that was going to be the thing I said that was the least buggable about it.
No, it totally bugs me because it's Samsung doing that thing they do where they just kind of sneak in other people's names and recognition. I'm not saying it's a full blown stab at Fitbit or that Fitbit can't
Yeah, we
thing,
have
but
the
I'm just-
Chevy S10 too. Why are they stealing
I
that
mean,
name? God.
listen, you know,
I mean, look,
like
I'm just, I'm
the
unsam.
general umbrella of being fit does not belong to any of these companies.
No, but if you're Fitbit, you're going to hear some Samsung say, "Oh, it's called the Samsung Fit." And by the way, profile-wise, if you look at that thing, it looks the same. It's just like a Fitbit. I think it's a little skeevy, just a little. It's not that big a deal. And I think fitness is great, and they should focus on it, and all that stuff's true. But they probably could have found another word besides fit. That's all.
Wait, what would that be?
I don't know, like Samsung Health, the Samsung
Yeah.
doohickey. I don't know, whatever it is.
Yeah.
The Samsung Galaxy
Good heart
wrist
rate.
device. No, wait, that's a Microsoft name. Never mind.
Right. Yeah. I just happened to be researching new cars, and one of them is the Honda Fit. So listen,
Oh,
lot of fits out there, a lot of fits.
But there's no
honestly-
confusion, though. A car is a car, and a wrist thing. Anyway, that's just.
I get where you're coming from. Yes.
The Watch Active is fine. The Fit is fine. If you really are living in the Samsung universe, these are great options for you. I don't know that they're terribly compelling over other options out there. The Galaxy Buds, on the other hand, I think those are competitive and kind of points to the fact that these sort of wireless earbuds that you stick in your ears, like the ones Sarah's living with right now, the Jabra 65Ts, they're
Mhm.
kind of the wave of the future.
Well, and they're, I mean, yeah, this was actually the most exciting part of it for me, just because I'm currently living with the Jabras, and they're priced about the same, and I would be curious to put them head to head now that I know what I like about the Jabras and what I don't.
my favorite, my favorite American sitcom is Living with the Jabras. I'm glad you're enjoying this.
Bringing up Jabra.
Keeping up
Jabra
with the
the
Jabras, guys, get it right.
Even better.
Hey, thanks to everybody who participates in our subreddit. You can keep up with everybody on the subreddit by submitting stories and voting on others at dailytechnewsshow.reddit.com. Thanks to everybody who participates. We love your feedback. Also, facebook.com/groups/dailytechnewsshow is where to hang out with us on Facebook as well.
We also get the emails like today. What do we got?
Well, we sure did. Cameron in Australia had some thoughts on our show yesterday about smart toilets, and Tom and Patrick and Roger and I kind of ha about it. However, Cameron had some good thoughts. He said the heart rate smart toilet could be really valuable, no joke, in an old people's home or in hospital ward where the information is valuable, but getting people hooked up to get readings is also hard. Also not commonly brought up at the dinner table is how frequent and volume and type of bowel movements could be important. And they could. So it seems like a really smart idea to get where people universally seem happy to expose their skin already.
Cameron, I was trying to make this point yesterday. Thank you for making it so much better than I did.
It's true.
Because I think one of the things we didn't quite get expressed is if you are in an assisted living or nursing home situation, you may not be able to wear a sensor. You may chafe your skin.
Totally.
It may not fit properly. It may fall off. There could be all kinds of reasons why. And so this would be a valuable supplementary source of data. So
absolutely. Thank you,
Good on
Cameron.
you, Cameron.
Thank you for keeping us honest. And also thanks to Scott Johnson for being with us this fine hump day. Scott, what has been going on in your world?
Well, I've been feeling a little more fit. Just kidding. That's true. It's really
and
not true,
active, driving your S10 around.
right.
Don't sold, Scott.
All these things are true. No, there's a lot of busy happenings happening over in my world. To keep up with them and find out what they actually are, you can head on over to frogpants.com/all of it. Just go to frogpants.com. It's all there, including the MVGB show that I do with Patrick for this very network that comes out once a month, and lots of other great content that you might enjoy. So give it a shot. That's frogpants.com, and I'm at Scott Johnson on Twitter.
Hey, folks, our goal each month is to get one more patron than last month. And we just need a few of you to join up to get us over that goal for February as we get near the end of February. February's a little shorter, so we only got 8 more days. You could be that person. If you become a DTS member, you get an ad-free RSS feed that you can pop into any of your podcast apps. Special episodes from me. You'll get updates from Sarah on the products that she's living with. You'll get a column from Roger coming to you tomorrow. And if you you stay at one of the top 2 tiers for 3 months, we're giving away some merchandise. So at the advisor level, if you stay for 3 months, you get a DTNS poster. And at the master level, you get a DTNS mug. Both of those have Len Peralta's DTNS 5-year anniversary art on them. So you can find out the details about that at patreon.com/DTNS/merch.
And if you have feedback for us, well, I have good news for you because our email address is feedback@dailytechnewsshow.com. We're also live Monday through Friday at 4:30 p.m. Eastern, 21:30 UTC. Find out more. Tell a friend at dailytechnewsshow.com/live.
Back tomorrow with Justin Robert Young. Talk to you then.
This show is part of the Frog Pants Network. Get more at frogpants.com.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.
Well done, my friends.
Well done as well, Tom Merritt.
Thank you, Sarah.
We are Muppets.
The best Muppet versions of ourselves. Let's get into the fold.
Sure.
Samsung's
Ooh.
Galaxy unfolds.
It's my doctor's. Both those things my doctor said last time I had a physical.
Let's get into the fold, Scott. And you said, "Oh, really?
Really, doctor?
I
Can't
don't
win.
want to."
Can't win for listening. The relation to the Google story. I feel like we have to do Samsung somehow. But it's
Yeah, I think let's figure out the best fold pun.
Samsung folds
dangerous origami. Folding at phone.
Scott fears the yellow stain. No, we're not going to use that one because it just sounds different.
As true as it is.
Right?
I get it.
And it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
I really like Samsung's Galaxy unfolds.
I like that.
Because it gets
it's,
everything in there. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. I don't disagree at all.
Well, good.
Okay.
Well, all
Put
right.
it in. It's in the dock for you, Roger, right there.
Mr. J.
Although Zoe brings bacon, I do like a freaking sandwich.
A freaking sandwich.
Just because that sounds so good to me right now.
Oh, it sounds great right now, doesn't it?
You can
Doesn't
hear
it
me
sound
now? Good.
Oh man. I want a sandwich.
Just a big Scott, what kind of sandwich would you get right now if you could get any sandwich?
So you're gonna say
in
what kind of
the
sandwich would
whole
you
world?
feed?
The whole world. All
No.
right.
Oh yeah, you're not a sandwich. You're eating a sandwich.
If I was going to eat one right now, I would go to Potbelly's and I would get their, what's that called? Yeah, Potbelly's. I don't know if you guys have them in LA or not. They're all over.
I don't think so. No.
Here, and I know Midwest has them, so maybe they're kind of moving that direction.
Is
But
it a pork store?
no, it's like a full-on, just a fancy,
Just a sub sandwich kind of place.
But they're so good. You'll never. I've
That's
never had a better sandwich at a place. It's so good.
Okay, give me more information. So at Potbelly's, what kind of sandwich do you get?
They have so many good ones, but they have this one called the Wreck that is roast
Like
beef.
with a W?
Yeah,
Like
with
the
a
wreck?
W.
Like
Yeah.
you're wrecking yourself?
Yeah, like this is just a
Okay.
big old wreck. I think they call that because they mix a bunch of stuff. So it's like roast beef and turkey and a bunch of other things. But the thing that makes it unique is these mushrooms and the way they grill them right before you get them.
I'm weeping.
know.
That
I want to
sounds
go.
so good.
And they have breads and when I get it skinny, you ask for it skinny, and what they do is they take the same bread, whatever bread you get, and then they cut out or they just carve out with their hand with a glove on it. They carve out all the
Times
fat
has
bread in the
supported
middle.
Independent Tech News directly.
Unbox
If you could have
my soul phone, receiving a complimentary
content.
Greatest hit from our previous episode.
Wow.
I thought that was actually you saying a thing, and I'm like,
But
wow, she is all
like it
over
was kind of like we kind of like went weird on sandwiches and just sort of
Wow.
So the nearest one to us is in Arizona.
Oh, man,
Gilbert,
sorry.
Arizona, or Chandler, Arizona.
That's too bad.
First of all, I would never get the skinny. I just would never do that.
I
But I
don't
understand
usually
why
do.
people would.
Yeah.
Got
you save
it.
some calorie. You save a couple hundred calories or something. I think.
Man, if I'm eating that, I'm not worried about calories.
Somebody
Yeah.
said this started in Chicago. It looks
Yeah,
like
it sounds
there's a
Oh,
ton in
that
the
makes
Chicago
sense.
area, so.
Yeah, that makes
Sounds right.
sense.
It's
Is that all
fantastic.
Potbellies in Chicago? Is that what you're trying to say, Sarah?
I'm
Makes
saying, look, Tom, when you were
I'm
here last time,
saying that they like a good sandwich.
They like a good sausage sandwich.
Ooh,
Um,
too. Yeah, that-
That's true.
I would get a Cuban sandwich right now.
oh, they have one there. You can get one at Potbelly's.
Really?
Yeah, good one too.
I'm so
They have,
hungry.
you know what they have around Thanksgiving? They make a full Thanksgiving sandwich. It's got turkey, cranberry on it.
No, stop it. That
Stuffing
sounds so
stuff.
good.
Oh, it's so good. It's so good.
That's so,
I
like,
used to go.
also,
to
like, why does that have to be seasonal? Why
don't
can't we
know.
have that all year round?
there was a place in Austin when I lived there. So this was in the 90s called Little City. It was a coffee shop with sandwiches, and they had a Thanksgiving sandwich available year round. That was pretty close to what you're talking about, Scott. And I would get every time I'd go there, I'd get the Thanksgiving sandwich, no matter what time of year it was.
That sounds great.
That was I loved
And when you ate it, did it feel like
Mhm.
like
Yep.
it was they did it right?
Yeah, they did. Like it had the spices and and just enough cranberry that you weren't like, ugh, cranberry, but like giving you that hint of like almost just a smell of cranberry. Like, oh yeah, it smells like Thanksgiving in here.
Hint of cran.
Yeah,
Hint
yeah.
of cran. Got it. Yeah.
Cran
Yeah.
hint.
It was delightful. And I actually, what's funny is I bought the Little City travel mug because I would go there all the time. It was on my bus route. So I'd actually get off the bus, go get a coffee and a sandwich, and then go on into work. Eileen uses that mug to this day. Like it was a well put together mug. I think I bought that thing in 1996.
I love a good mug that lasts forever.
Yeah.
Nothing like the DTNS mug at the store.
Or do you have a lot of mugs that don't last forever? It's a
Well,
mug.
you know, how they're printed or something. If they ever print on
I
them,
guess
it's-
I see what you're
travel
saying.
mugs can last pretty well.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's a good point, though. I'm not breaking mugs left and right or anything.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of cities, Bay cities, which I introduced Roger and Tom to last year at some point, I think it was last summer, does have one of the best submarine sandwiches you can get in this world.
That sounds
And
fantastic.
And it's called the Godmother.
Oh,
I know.
Like
Partaken.
I know, and you're groaning, and that is warranted because it is so good. It is every meat that's ever been known to man, plus all the other things.
sounds great.
That's the sandwich.
I'm in.
It's
Mhm.
delicious.
Go.
That's why I like Cuban sandwiches or muffalettas.
Yeah, same idea. It's
Yeah.
just a bunch of meat, you know, and some nice spices.
They introduced very briefly a pizza sandwich thing that I thought sounded really stupid at Potbelly's.
Oh, no.
I tried it and it was.
Oh, that sounds good.
Roger may remember the toaster oven, which was on 3rd Street in downtown San Francisco. Yeah,
It was on 2nd, wasn't it? Down from CNET?
on 2nd? It was.
I just
thought it was
rem-
3rd. 2, 3, 5,
I
6.
kind
Oh,
of
yeah.
liked it, but I thought their prices are kind of like, man, I like it, but I don't like it that much.
Oh come on! The prices were like $7 or $8 for a sandwich. That's
It was like $10 by the
Well,
10,
what did
12
you
bucks
want
by
it
the
to
time.
be?
$4.50.
In
That's
order-
it. $4.50 pound down.
All I
but
know is
they had a-
Henry Hunan's was around the corner, and I could get a big fat lunch super cheap, and that was super delicious.
it was about the same price as the sandwich. I guess you
For like
right.
2, if I got like an
Those
entree.
sandwiches were huge. I think it's the same amount of food.
Well, and also, like, what do you want? Do you want
Food.
a sandwich or do you want something else?
Well, because you could go to Quiznos
usually
and get a sandwich for
it's a
$5, but you're going to Quiznos, right? You could
Right.
go to the Indian restaurant and get
Oh,
like
curry in a
their lunch-
hurry. That place
Yeah,
is great. Meatful.
Methil was like
Methil.
$5 for every
5 and
lunch.
then
Oh, Methil
six,
was good.
$6,
Methil was good.
$6.50 if you got the. There's always one dish, and there was always $6, $6 something.
Yeah, I never got
And
that.
then you got a side of naan. Oh, that stuff was great.
Yeah,
I
always
would
got
sweat it out
$4 or
through the
$5.
afternoon. It's amazing.
I do half and half sometimes. You could actually ask for like, oh, I want half this dish, half of that. And they put it in the same bowl. It's great.
Patrick would go in and
That
buy,
sounds
like,
amazing,
4
too. Everything
Anyway,
is
the
nice.
toaster. The reason I brought the toaster oven up, it was they had a pizza toasted sandwich that was amazing.
I want my Indian pizza.
I would eat that. Pizza sandwich down in.
Isn't
Where-
that just like a hot pocket?
I don't
No.
know. It sounds good though.
Hot pocket.
It was
No.
like
What are you
you
gonna
could eat different
eat?
kinds of bread, and then it was like nice thick toasted bread, so it was better than a hot pocket.
Well, okay, but it was non, right?
Oh no,
That-
that's
that-
methyl was non.
Methyl.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
talking about the toaster oven had the pizza.
Ooh, non sounds good for a pizza sandwich, though.
No,
Does
it's
it
great.
though?
I
There
love
was
non on everything. Everything should be non.
I do that. I buy like these little
Garlic
mini
naan
naans
is my
at
life.
Costco.
would
I do
eat
too. I buy the
that.
same ones, Roger. I have
Those
one
things are awesome.
I know, and I'll microwave. What you do is you put them in the microwave on a plate for like 10 seconds. They get soft and steamy. Anything can be eaten with them.
Yes, I put them in the toaster oven. I put a little cheese and I put like chicken strips on it.
The
and
actual
then
toaster oven, not the restaurant.
Right.
Yeah, an actual the actual kitchen appliance.
Yeah.
Indian pizza. That's what I miss most of all from San Francisco.
I will say, okay, since we're talking about non, there are certain things that don't totally work with non. For example, salsa.
Oh, I don't know.
No,
It doesn't really work that well because I've
depends.
tried.
If you call it chutney and you make it with mango, it's awesome.
No, I
I
see
mean,
where you're
all
coming from. I see where you're coming from.
No.
Y'all
This
put,
is the thing. This is the thing.
put some Tostitos on your naan and tell me if you like it.
It
You
depends. No, like those little naan things they get from Costco. They're basically the chalupa shells at Taco Bell, so you can put anything in there.
You know what?
I have put salsa. I have put salsa pico de
won't.
gallo.
I think it just it has to be savory in a certain way.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's kind of
Crispy or
weird.
something. Otherwise, I think it's because
Yeah.
it soaks up the water that is inherently in
All
your
right. All right.
Uh-huh.
I have to bring us back to the toaster oven again. I'm sorry. I found their menu. They're out of business, but I found a cached menu. The Paisano was the pizza sandwich. Pepperoni, mushrooms,
Paisano.
marinara sauce, and provolone cheese.
Oh,
Dream life.
For $5.39.
I'm ready.
Oh,
Never
why
been
is it 39 cents? Never mind, no one cares.
To annoy Roger and make him think it was too expensive.
I'm going to prove to you, Roger, that it was affordable pizza sandwich.
I also would get the kitchen sink, which was roast beef, turkey, salami, ham, and provolone.
Sounds great. That sounds like the wreck. That might be closer to what the wreck
And
is.
any of their sandwiches came with mayonnaise, mustard, hot peppers, lettuce, tomato, onion, pickles, or an extra 75 cents for avocado.
Also, and I know we've talked about this ad nauseum, but people who don't put mayonnaise on sandwiches are only hurting themselves.
That's me.
And
well, okay.
So I'm hurting
I
myself.
mean,
I'm
it's-
hurting
it's-
myself, but I
it's-
enjoy
it's-
eating it that way.
It mayonnaise.
I agree.
is-
I like it
mayonnaise
not.
is
I'll tell you
the
why.
best.
I know. I could see your eyes rolling in the back of your head like a slot machine.
No,
I-
I just feel sorry for you.
No, the thing is, when I get a sandwich, I always get a side, and Tom is trying to show us what this pizza, this sandwich.
I've changed. I've just transformed into the kitchen sink.
What I get with what I get as
man,
a side,
I would
when I get a
murder that
sandwich,
thing.
what I get as a side is always potato salad. So for me, I already have mayo, so I don't need to add it in my sandwich.
Oh God, Roger. Oh God.
I just don't really like mayonnaise.
Listen, mayonnaise is your friend. If you want to eat potato salad, that's on you. But it doesn't. I don't know.
Potato salad. I need more
Carbs.
mustard. I need just tons of mustard.
I will bring out the Hellmann's.
Oh yeah, the Hellmann's.
Don't even.
I'm on both. I got hands
Don't
on both
even-
sides here. I'm with Sarah on
Don't.
the mayo. I'm with Tom on the Hellmann's. I like it all. Just put it all on.
No, don't. Yeah, this goes so many levels deep. I will say, okay, so I don't like potato salad, but I love macaroni salad, and
You
that's
don't love
usually heavy
potatoes?
on the
No
mayo.
wonder you react the way that you do. You're missing out a good chunk of your life. Just missing out.
I don't like potatoes. This is a true thing. We've talked about this.
Yes.
We
I
are-
don't like potatoes.
We are mostly anti-potato on this show. Yeah. Even though we're both the two people.
But I
that-
like macaroni salad, which is also mayo heavy.
Is it because we have Irish backgrounds that we're anti-potato? Because of
It's
what it
we may be sort of
It's probably because you had a heavy
maybe
potato
reacting
filled
to,
upbringing,
our
where
upbringing and some of the worst things that happened.
whereas I did not. Like when I was growing up, we didn't have potatoes.
We had
Those
them
are
all the
potato.
time, but I still like them. I think Tom might be onto something. You guys just remember the blight in utero.
we're angry at potatoes.
Yeah,
Potatoes are an Englishman's plot.
that's right.
I rail against potatoes, but I understand that is a inflammatory statement.
Throwing up the spud.
Right. I hate them.
I also
Never
love
want
tater
potatoes.
tots. Tater tots.
Do you like tater tot though?
Nothing
tater
wrong
tots.
with good tater
I don't
tot.
like French fries, but I love tater tots.
No, okay. So French fries, absolute nonsense. Tater tots, same. But what about like
Hash browns. I love hash browns.
no, get rid of potatoes. Like, what about jalapeno poppers?
Oh, I think those
Same
are nasty.
idea. So good. so
Jalapeno poppers.
delicious.
Typically, I mean, if they're the ones from Chili's,
Cheese.
don't they fill it with cheese, which makes it kind of
Yeah,
gross?
it's fried cheese.
It's just gross. Ugh.
Yeah, why would you eat a potato when you can eat fried cheese?
Yeah, that's a good point.
It
Because
looks
I could
good.
just
Argue
eat string
right there.
cheese and it would be as
And
fatty
you
or
can dip
oily.
it.
Ugh. This is the thing. When I see fried hors d'oeuvres, like appetizers, whether it's Chili's, TGIS, or whatever, all I think of is acne. Because that's just
You think of acne?
acne. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh,
There's
because
some
of
teen, there's some
oil?
misbegotten teen back there making a minimum wage, slopping out the stuff.
Oh, so it's not that it causes acne; it's that
No,
it's.
okay.
Well, no,
sort of-
it does.
yeah.
I mean, that's the whole thing about acne. It's like you got an
Mhm.
oily face, and
Yeah.
if you work food service, that's the deep fryer is the worst thing about working in the restaurant.
I don't think so. I think the people are the worst thing about working.
Absolutely.
That was my
Customers.
experience. Yeah.
Customers.
Well,
That's
you
the
know.
worst.
I don't know.
Hey, but we love our customers at Daily Tech News Show. So thank you for watching our video. We appreciate it. Please tell your friends, like and subscribe. Audio folks, stick around. There's more to come.